Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 12 in Be With Me in the book of 1 Peter. I'm going to title today, Submission to Government. Oh my goodness. Listen in. This is from 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 13. Be subject for the Lord's sake to every human institution, whether it be to the emperor as supreme or to governors as sent by him, to punish those who do evil and to praise those who do good. For this is the will of God, that by doing good you should put to silence the ignorance of foolish people. So here it is. I was going to summarize today, be subject to every human institution, which is only half the story, actually. The second half of the story is for the Lord's sake. So we've talked a lot about submission because it's all the way through through the New Testament. And the most important part of submission is its goal, its end, its purpose. It's how it's done. That is, everybody submits to someone. And the most important part is the attitude of doing it for the Lord's sake. So everybody submits to someone when they act in certain roles. So children, we are to submit to their parents. Wives are to submit to their husbands. Church members are to submit to other church members. And here we have sort of a unique one and harder in a lot of ways because it's a citizens towards a government. Now, in all these relationships, it's always supposed to be done with a beautiful spirit, in the adorning of the hidden person of the heart, the imperishable beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which in God's sight is very precious. So here's the thing about submission, is God sees it. That's the most important part about it. But here today, we find that he's not the only one that sees, that other people are going to see your submission and either glorify God for that or can maybe condemn God. We have to be reputationally aware here. So submission is something that you do to yourself. It's a voluntary thing. It's something that you have a hidden person of the heart. You decide to do it, and you voluntarily put yourself in subjection. So submission is always done with this eye towards God. So every time, almost without exception, that submission is talked about in the New Testament, there's always a line in there, for the Lord's sake, as there is here. So this passage doesn't say be subject to every human institution, period. What it says is be subject, comma, for the Lord's sake, comma, to every human institution. So it's the Lord's sake is very important. It's always done with an eye towards God. All right, so submission done like this is seen by God. And it's valued, it's precious, it's beautiful. What if I could tell you that today, so this podcast drops on a Wednesday morning, you could adorn your spirit in such a way, for the Lord's sake, in submission, that it could be precious to the Lord, that he would see it, he would be pleased, he would call you beautiful. Wow, the power that you have today to do this in your heart and to do this in your behavior is just incredible. Next point, submission is done by everybody, but it's not to everybody in every role. It's always done to a specific person when they're occupying a specific office and when they're acting in that role. Next point, submission should be learned and taught and modeled in the home. Why? Well, I think today is the reason why. Learn this at home because you're going to need it here in human institutions. So this is going to be an office that in the vast majority of the time, it's not going to be occupied by like-minded Christian people. This is where submission is really going to meet, the rubber is really going to meet the road. So remember, who are we talking about here? Well, he starts with the emperor. Okay, so who's the emperor? Not democratically elected, no term limits, no checks and balances, no real opposing party, no codified rights, no legislative balance, typically unjust, frequently violent. So this is the person that today's lesson is surrounded by is this crazy emperor person. Now, hopefully, being submissive to another office is easier. So let's say wives. How about submitting to your husbands? Well, that's a person that you've chosen. He's a believer. He's committed to presenting you in splendor before the Lord at the end of your life, at the end of his life, Ephesians 5. How about a person that has that attitude towards you? Is that a person that should be easier to submit to than some crazy emperor? Yes, your husband should be easier to submit to. Well, how about children? Children are called to submit to their parents. Well, they're the person in the whole planet who loves you beyond measure. Children, should it be easy for you to submit to your parents? Probably so. Certainly more than an emperor. Or how about bondservants? Here's another one. That's a person that you have voluntarily chosen to be employed by for life. So in other words, you looked at them, you assessed them as an employer, and you say, yep, this is a person that is a good enough character that I think I can make it all the way to the end of my life with him. I'll put an all through my ear and bond myself to this person. So you've chosen this person. All right. So authority is God-given. It's a system that reveals the condition of the heart in general, and it's going to demonstrate some beauty. If you are submissive, and you get this right, everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. Everybody knows it's beautiful. Contrarily, if you're not submissive and you don't adorn yourself this way, you're not beautiful, you're ugly in this area, everybody's going to know. What is submission? Submission is the voluntary relational attachment under a designated person occupying a God-given role under God's sight that demonstrates this imperishable internal adornment of a posture before God. And it demonstrates in relational practice what is true in spiritual reality. And here it's seen by all. Verse 15. For this is the will of God, that by doing good you should put to silence the ignorance of foolish people. They see this stuff and they're going to respond in a certain way. It talks about your heart, not their heart, not the emperor's heart. This is about your heart. So how about, let's go do a response. If you say I could never do this, stick around, because we're going to find out who does it best. Come back tomorrow. We're going to learn about Jesus. Thanks for listening.